So I'll go ahead and call this meeting to order of the Pataskala City Board of Zoning Appeals. This is Wednesday, January 8th. The time now is 6:08 p.m. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Staff to call a roll, please.
Mr. Ashcraft?
Here.
Mr. Howe?
Here.
Mr. McKittrick?
Here.
Mr. Platt?
Here.
Ms. Roderbeck?
We do have all five members present. Number 4 on the agenda is adoption of the 2019 Board of Zoning Appeals hearing schedule. I have a quick update for the board that to get it on the record. We historically have met on Tuesdays at 6:30. At the last meeting, we discussed maybe bumping that up a little bit to 6 o'clock, which I think would be great. Since we do a thorough review of applications, a lot of times it gets runs a little late, so 6 would be good. For me personally, to update you all, I did submit my letter of resignation to the mayor and council last night, effective February 11th, because I didn't want to leave them hanging. Our next meeting is February 12th, and that would give them a month to find somebody, simply because, as I told you, I'll be taking some classes that only meet on Tuesday night, and I don't have the option to move that schedule. I did indicate that I love serving the city and serving on this board, and I felt we'd done some pretty good things last year, but unfortunately the schedule couldn't be changed. They ultimately asked me if I would be willing to stay on if a new night for meetings could be found. I indicated I would, and they said it's up to the board at the organizational meeting, which is right now, to determine day and time of the meeting. So I don't want anybody to feel obligated to do anything on my part. Certainly the city has more than a month to appoint somebody to replace me if they wish. If you want to stay on Tuesdays, and if not, if there's another day available, I would be happy to stay on. So I did ask Ms. Hoskinson to print out, which I've provided to you, the days that the city committees meet, including council. I guess to stay with the agenda, is there a feeling from the board of when we would like to set, what day of the month we would like to set as the day for the Board of Zoning Appeals hearings to be held for 2019, and also the time? I'd open it up to the board.
It looks like city council meets the first and the third Monday. If we could talk about the second Monday, that would fall in line with our second Tuesday. It wouldn't take it too much out of perspective for staff as far as scheduling and all the public announcements that we'd have to do.
It is important. I agree, and it is important. I should note that we have to meet in these chambers, more importantly for the audience capacity and for the hearing recording and things like that. So it's not as if we can meet upstairs in the conference room or something like that. But on the 2nd and 4th, and I'll ask staff, 2nd and 4th Mondays, don't the city council have like committee meetings or something those nights? And so really, are Mondays out altogether, or is there a Monday that's an option?
There's oftentimes, we try and meet with committee meetings prior to council if available. I know I spoke with the public service director, who says oftentimes they'll do a street committee meeting on those opposite Mondays, the 2nd or 4th, just due to the agenda is so large that if they did it on a council night, it would butt up into council. So
Sure.
He did mention Mondays could be difficult with council and the committee meetings. I don't want to speak for council and when those are scheduled, but typically it's on those opposite Mondays, if not before council.
Okay. So that might pose a problem. We're fortunate to have Councilman Walther here. Could you maybe share a little?
The other thing, Scott, is typically on those meetings, we try to do them at like 4:30, 5 o'clock.
For the street committee?
Yeah, and try to get them out of the way. And so like a 6:30, I know you guys wanted to potentially move it to 6, but if there was some flexibility in there to say it could be 6 or 6:30, depending on whether there was a committee meeting ahead of that, I think that would work. I certainly think that there's opportunities there. And also, I would say 7 out of 10 times, they wanna have the committee meetings on the Mondays that we have council. They try to do them before council and then just go right into council meetings. It's only when, and Alan's exactly right, there are times when the street committee schedule is an hour and a half, 2 hours of discussion, or even the utilities can get to be that much. But your ag, your finance, some of the other committees are pretty quick. They're 20-minute meetings. And so it's just a matter of, you know.
I would have reservations about saying it's six this month, 6:30, we should choose a time for the year, just because
Sure.
for an applicant, trying to keep track of where we're bouncing around, I don't think is fair to the applicant or to the board. Was it 6 or 6:30 this month? So I
Sure.
think
So
that could be difficult.
I guess what I was getting at, Scott, is if you guys would do 6:30, I think that leaves plenty of room in there for council to do committee meetings before that. That's my opinion.
The other thought, and looking at the schedule that Kathy provided, was Thursdays, but Chad maybe has some difficulty with that day.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I'm traveling to Youngstown on that evening.
Okay.
I like to have Thursdays free too. I mean, that's just
Certainly appreciate that. I don't wanna be a thorn, or if it's easier to stay on Tuesdays, again, you guys won't hurt my feelings at all. And this would just be my last meeting, cause, you know. So, be that as it may, if we can come up with some sort of plan.
You need
And
a
there's-
motion then?
I can make Mondays or Thursdays work. I have a little concern with the city council night, but also wanna be respectful of Mr. McKittrick also, so, cause I do know that they have those committee meetings. Scott, let me ask you, what if, is there anything that says that the BZA only meets once a month, or let me ask you this, what if we scheduled our regular meetings on the second and fourth Monday of the month? Maybe the fourth always gets canceled, it's only been published once, right?
From a staff perspective, we went to one meeting a month, just because of the amount of work that goes into preparing the staff reports, getting it routed, getting it posted. There's a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff that has to go on
Sure.
that's why we got away from 2 a month, because there were times where, you know, packets weren't going out succinctly, they weren't a complete packet, it would be hit or miss. And when I originally started, that was the discussion I had with the board at the time, that we could switch it to once a month, start routing memos to everybody, so there's not a question, did the fire district look at this? No, we didn't send it to them, we didn't get comments. Well, let's table it and then we'll talk to them. So it didn't, there was no benefit to having multiple meetings
yeah.
a month.
I guess I meant with the intent still of only holding once a month. We would intend to have it the second Tuesday, or second Monday of the month. If for some reason there was a committee meeting, we would then hold it on the fourth. But for all other months, basically, the meeting on the fourth Monday would just be canceled every month, if not needed. It would be an as-needed thing, but you publish a notice.
We would publish, I mean, it's possible, it's at the pleasure of the board, but from a staff standpoint, having to guess every month, when are we having a meeting?
Could it be quarterly, or do we have too much work to do to try to do it quarterly? And do you foresee?
The Board of Zoning Appeals?
Yes.
I think we have to hold a monthly
You have to do
meeting,
it
at least
monthly.
once a month.
Yeah, typically with the amount of applications
Yeah.
that we see, it should be done on a monthly basis. I think if we did it quarterly, it would be a long night with multiple applications, so.
Well, and there's
Okay,
a
that's fine. I just wanted to
requirement
bring it
too
up.
for time between, so I don't know. Andy, you think the second Monday of the month would be fine?
Yeah, I think you guys
from-
are just fine.
if we started.
There's plenty of other days, and, you know, there isn't anything that says that, that the committees can't meet before. Whereas I think the trade-off might be the 6:30 time versus the 6 o'clock time, but that's just my opinion. I
Are
think
the-
it was,
And do the committees have to meet on Mondays?
they don't, but it's really more of a rhythm. It's more
Sure.
of a, most of we have a couple school board, or school teachers on there, and then what they do is they keep Monday open. So they have 4, sometimes 5, 4 days that they can meet, and it's typically Monday. 'Cause every other night is just packed.
Are those 3-member committees or 4, are those public meetings?
They're 3-member committees.
Do they need to be in the chambers, I guess, is what I'm,
They record it, so I would tell you that
Okay.
it's probably not something that they would go upstairs for.
sure,
That's just, I haven't seen a committee meeting up there,
yeah, okay.
but I would tell you that there's other days that if
Yeah.
you can't make it on that Monday, you can make it on a Tuesday. And people would have, they move stuff around, or just make it earlier. For us, for committees.
So I guess if we said the second Monday of the month at 6:30, and then a committee meeting needs to be held, it either gets scheduled earlier, once the BZA hearing date is set, it really can't be changed, because it's published and all that, so,
Committee meetings are held probably on average once a month. So, like I said, there's other Mondays available, and they do them before council also. So, I wouldn't get hung up on
Lots
that.
of options.
So we need a motion then?
yeah, as far as to the agenda, we would need a motion to set the meeting schedule for 2019 for days of the month, and then the time, so.
Would staff be available that evening?
That's a good question too. You're coming off a weekend, you have to prepare
I'm
stuff.
not-
No, they do it for city council, right?
Sure.
It's,
It's at the pleasure of the board. We'll have to do some adjustments, but if that's what the board would like to do, we can do that.
I think Rob's brought a lot of value to our city,
Absolutely.
and I would really hate to see, us lose him as somewhat of a volunteer, right?
I appreciate that, but again, I don't wanna cause problems and certainly won't hurt my feelings, so. I'll probably stay out of the decision that you
If
guys.
that's the
Right.
case, then I'll make a motion that we meet on the second Monday of the month at 6:30.
I'll second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to set the 2019 meeting schedule of the BZA to be the second Monday of every month at 6:30. Is there discussion on the motion?
No.
No.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Platt,
Abstain?
Mr. Howe,
Yes.
Ms. Rotabeck,
Yes.
Mr. McKittrick,
Yes.
Mr. Ashcraft.
Yes?
Motion is approved. The schedule has been adopted. I'm looking for a motion to adopt Robert's Rules of Order for how we hold our meetings.
Make a motion to adopt Robert's Rules of Orders.
Been a motion. Is there a second?
Second?
Discussion?
Who is this, Robert?
Robert Platt. His rules. Roll call, please.
Ms. Rotabeck,
Yes.
Mr. Platt,
Yes.
Mr. McKittrick,
Yes.
Mr. Ashcraft,
Yes?
Mr. Howe.
Yes.
Motion is approved. I'll turn the meeting over to staff, Mr. Fulton, for nominations for chairperson. Mr. Fulton?
Do you have any nominations?
Rob Platt is chairman.
I'll second.
Somebody want to close the nomination?
I'll close.
All right, we'll do roll. Mr. McKittrick,
Yes.
Mr. Platt,
Yes.
Ms. Rotabeck,
Yes.
Mr. Ashcraft,
Yes?
Mr. Howe.
Yes.
All right, thank you all for your vote of confidence. I'll open nominations for vice chair.
Who's the second senior person on this board?
TJ.
Chad, I would like to nominate Chad, please.
Okay, Mr. McKittrick's been nominated. Do you accept the nomination?
I will accept.
Second?
There's been a second. Are there any other nominations?
No.
So I'll close nominations for vice chair. Roll call, please.
Mr. Ashcraft,
Yes?
Mr. Howe,
Yes.
Mr. Platt,
Yes.
Mr. McKittrick,
Yes.
Ms. Rotabeck.
Yes.
Congratulations for the record. We don't have to call roll on those nominations for one person, but I thought I think it's good practice, so we did. Motion to adjourn the organizational meeting, please.
So moved.
Is there a second? Been a motion and a second. Is there discussion on the motion?
Sorry, who was the first and second?
Mr. Ashcraft, Mr. McKittrick, second. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Howe?
Yes.
Ms. Rotoback?
Yes.
Mr. Ashcraft?
Yes.
Mr. McKittrick?
Yes.
Mr. Platt?
Yes.